Good morning, everybody. I wanted to get started. Hopefully some more people will filter in. Welcome to Training Tuesdays. My name is Sarah Deitch, and I am a Customer Success Manager at Skybits. I'd like to thank you all for your continued support on our efforts to support you, our partners, our customers. It's great to be back hosting a training session. You've heard from my colleagues over the past few weeks. I'd like to give them a special thank you, Jim, Ben, and Harry, my colleagues in the customer success management team, as well as our customer experience team management. Last week, you heard from Ira Stern, Elaine Samard, and Lisa Flynn. So I'd like to thank everybody for helping out and making Training Tuesdays extra special. The intent of these 1-hour training sessions is to get you familiar with all of Insight, really. Sometimes we're going to parts where not everybody's utilizing, and we want to make sure that you're all aware of these sections. Today is one of those. We're going to delve into a section that I think is underutilized, just to make sure that everybody sees it, knows how to use it, and can make informed decisions on whether you'd like to use it or not. I'm going to do mostly live demonstration today, but I do have a little bit of PowerPoint intervention necessary based on the fact that we use a demo account. We can't always get super clean live data. So I'll just use a few slides today, trying to mix it up as much as possible and try to stay in a live environment. So there are a few housekeeping items for everyone who's on. Everyone's muted once the session starts, so we don't have any background noise as we are recording these sessions. If you've muted yourself and you wanted to ask a question out loud later, you will have to unmute yourself as well. We won't be able to do that for you. And we have factored in time for questions and answers. However, if at any time during the presentation you do think of a question and you don't have to write it down, you can actually just type it in the question section. You can type it in the chat. One of my colleagues will be able to answer. We have some other folks besides myself on the call that are able to moderate questions. So that's always helpful. So think of a question, put it in the chat, put it in the questions, it will get answered. And then at the end of my presentation, if you have questions, anything specific to your account, we probably won't be able to handle unless it's, a general question that everybody would get, assistance from, but don't worry about that. We're able to contact you. We have everyone's email address, and we can reach out separately if we need to answer any questions you might have. So with that in mind, I also wanted to remind everybody, all of these sessions, including the first group, which we had recorded at the end of the summer and early fall in 2020, that's when we started the Training Tuesdays program. And we were on a weekly schedule, very intense in insight and training. We covered landmarks, yard checks, setup and preferences, how to do all kinds of different things within insight that are beneficial. They were 1-hour sessions on a weekly basis. I believe we covered about 12 weeks. They are all recorded and they're in 2 places. Those videos are all on YouTube channel. Skybits has a YouTube channel that includes this content as well as a lot of other content. It's not just the Training Tuesday sessions. It's also our other vertical markets, which include tank monitoring and petro, and also other items in the trucking industry. So any videos that we have put out are on our Skybits YouTube channel. So I hope at the end of the session to at least have one more subscriber. If you're not already subscribers to the Skybits YouTube channel, please jump on, hit subscribe, and we won't bug you on there, but it will give you direct access to video playlists, and Training Tuesdays are in there as a group, and then you'll be able to just watch them as you need to learn different sections of the website. We also put those on our help section within Insight, which I will review toward the end of this session. So I want to get started and talk about content. So what we're going to go over today is, let me move over to Insight here on my screen. we want to review trends in the Analyze Assets section. So if you think about originally, some of our customers have been with us for over a decade, right? So you purchase GPS to track your assets, predominantly trailers in this market, to track your assets and to be able to say, where is asset 1, 2, 3 right now? Where has asset 1, 2, 3 been over the past 90 days? That's the amount of data that you have available to you on Insight at any given time. That's generally why you purchased GPS originally. If you're a longtime customer, longtime GPS user, especially in the asset tracking space. So it was very basic. Where is it? Where's it been? Right? So you want to know those things. Then we added like landmarks, and we added a bunch of different features and functionality within the Insight application so that you're then able to say, hey, where are my assets? Are they at these certain places? And I want to know when they're at those certain places. So we gave you that ability. And this is, you know, industry trending, right? But what we've done at Skybits is we said, okay, there's a lot of data, right? People are looking at thousands and thousands of assets a day and where they are and what they're doing. And what we started to then think of was, what else do our customers want to see? And we did take feedback, right? So we take feedback from our customers and we look at it and we say, is this something we can apply across the board? And it would be useful to many customers. So then we started talking about trending data. So that's where we're going to go right now. So we'll go into the Analyze Assets section. So if I hover over Analyze Assets, we have the home, and the home page is where I'm going to land. But when you go to a drop down, and I'm sure some of you know this, not everybody might be, so I'll just go A to Z, right? Analyze Assets, you'll hover over one of the menu options on the bar, and there's a home section most of the time, and then any other topic that, you know, falls in that category. So, you know, there's idle. Idle is a big word, so we're going to talk about that a little bit today, but there are some other items in this drop down: idle time, load status if you're utilizing our cargo sensor technology, idle history, landmark activity. I talked about landmarks prior. It's a huge bonus to spend the time and import or add your landmarks as need be. Landmarks, the industry term I'd say would be a geofence. It makes sense to add those. So when you're in Analyze Assets, you have reporting capabilities, and when you see a little arrow, that means if you hover over it and you go over, there's some more reports or there's some more content behind that drop down option. We're going to look at trends today. So like I said, we moved beyond where's my asset. We moved beyond the basics. And that was a necessity, right? So everybody's concerned with data, consuming data. How are we going to consume data? And if you're an Insight user, you know, you're definitely interested in these topics, right? So when I go into trends, and trends is just what it is, the trending of certain pieces of data that we're looking at over time. I'm going to look at all reports first. So when I go into Analyze Assets and all reports, I have a number of tabs set up. Now, this isn't a new section, but not everybody utilizes it. So when we're talking about trends, we have different tabs that we're going to review. And these tabs, then the data within these tabs goes down into deeper analyses of specific assets. So we're going to end up sometimes all the way over here at this Asset Details tab pretty much automatically. So this is a dashboard. We do have one that you can create, which I'll show you. The dashboard has to be enabled. So the our customer care department, or if you have a customer success manager, we're able to enable that access for you. It has to be done first at the account level, and then each account level admin then can give rights to a user who needs to see the trend panels. So that would be done, like I said, top level has to be done via customer care or success. And then in the manage settings users trends panel access section, you would then be able to grant per user their ability to see the trends panels. So I wanted to make sure that everyone knew that, because at this moment you may not be able to log into the system and just see trends. because you haven't been granted access, and maybe your admin hasn't either. So if you're not the admin and want to use this after this presentation, think it's useful, want to click around and play in it, by all means do. There is no extra charge. Want to make sure that's super clear. Just a phone call to customer care or your success manager, or a quick email to the care email box. So with that said, we'll move on to the reports. Okay, so we're in the idle tab. So right here, there are a few things looking right at you, right? So the idle summary right here in this upper left corner, just this little piece of this page, and it scrolls downward. So I'm gonna go panel by panel, do some clicking and make sure you can see exactly how this page is utilized, because idle is the dirty word, right? You don't want your assets sitting idle. You want your assets moving around, making money, right? So it happens though, things have to sit idle. So you probably will have some, oh yeah, I know where that is. That's sitting at the gas station or the maintenance, at a maintenance terminal being fixed. But in general, what we're looking at here are trends, averages for the entire fleet for a time range. So at the top here, you'll see, a date and date range. So that's kind of where we start. You can always change your date range, and then the charts will accommodate the date range change. So when we're looking at the average idle time, it's very descriptive. It's a what you see is what you get, no guesswork here. So the date range is exactly what I show you up here. And it displays the average idle time in days for the entire fleet within a set time frame, which is the week that we're in, right? I'm sorry, last week. So it's a full date range. The average idle time, and this is a demo. This is a demo account, so we're not looking at really great numbers. Nobody wants to see these. Average idle time in days is 156 for the demo account, but that's okay. I'm sure your fleets are looking much better than that. And your goal will be 2 days. So that's an industry goal, right? 2 days of idle time average. We're way over that at the Skybits demo account, but that's okay. The benefit is it gives you an overview during a set time frame to determine if your fleet is meeting the goal set or the average idle time of your fleet over time. So it's looking over time. Are we meeting the goals that we've set? Yes, no, make some tweaks, because we're going to be able to drill down and get a real good look at what's going on. And then average idle by days displays this bar graph here. And it has a trend line. So of course, we're giving you a key for what everything means. The average idle time, the goal is 2 days way down here. And you're watching your trend line on this account go upward, pretty much stay up here at the top. But when you're looking at real-time data within your account, you're going to see an ebb and flow, based on time of year, based on what was going on within your business during a week. So you're really able to drill down and look at day by day what's going on, and then kind of look at it over time and trend. So if you hover over a bar, the idle date shows the average idle time for that day and the number of assets that are included in that. So this is really giving you a good look at a specific day and what went on or what's going on. And the benefit, of course, is you're able to then look at, determine whether there are specific days of the week that don't meet your goals and need further investigation. So you can look at these here. This is a really good little section right here. It gives a lot of data. So this is what the idle summary section is. And again, it's giving you the range. And if you change it, it'll change that range, and then the average idle time and the goal. Stop for 1 second. I'm going to move over to the idle trend by week, but just take a good look. And if you're logged in and you have these panels available, you have this section available, just come right in and take a look at it and see where you're trending. And there's no problem following along. I think that's actually helpful for people looking at this data. It's not real data, so it's good to look at your own and kind of get a good look at it if you've never looked in this section before. And then moving over to the idle trend by week. So this shows a graph, of course, again, graphs. I love graphs, it gives you that graphical representation of data, but then we're going to be able to drill in here. So it shows a graph and a trend line of the average idle time per week for the last 3 months from the time period set. So That's what we're able to look at within Insight, right? 3 months worth of data. Hovering over a dot on the graph, so let me hover over one of these dots on the graph, will allow you, ooh, it went away. Of course, as I'm talking, it goes away. There we go. Ooh, the week, start date, average idle time, and the number of assets that are in that are represented by this dot right here. So let me then click on it. So I don't know if you noticed, everybody, that the little cursor turned into the finger so that you're able to then click on it. And these are the details for that week. So that dot represented the week. And once I clicked on that dot, it then brings me to this next tab. So I don't know if we kind of seamlessly moved to another tab here. This is idle distribution. So idle distribution, average idle time for a week, report date range, and it's showing me the week that I clicked on. Average idle time for each of those days. And as you hover over, you can then see the goal, of course, being 2 days, and we're far surpassing that every time. We're looking at the trend line going up, and it's kind of staying stagnant here. But again, if you're following along, please take a look at this on your own account. That's fantastic. That's what we want to encourage. And then the idle distribution by assets. So we're going to get into some more detail here, and I want to look at all. All right, and then we're going again, moving to another tab, the idle details tab. And that might take a minute. Another reason I like to use this account is we can kind of move through a little bit quickly. So we do have idle details here. So now we're drilling into a list of actual assets and their average idle time. And I can then sort or filter by whatever I need to. So I'm going to go Z to A in the average idle time. And this one was off the charts. So I want to look at this asset ID specifically. Now, at any time, I'm sorry, I should have mentioned this. Over in the corner, you're going to see some icons, and it varies based on what information is available to you. So PDF is just going to show you whatever report is showing or whatever graph is showing. So if I click on the PDF, it'll export the graph, exported some data, whatever tab I'm on in detail. Excel is the same. You're only going to see the Excel when you have a graphical, when you don't have a graph showing, when you have like an Excel spreadsheet to actually export. Any kind of data that our engineers wanted to let you know about a section would be right here. So if I click on it, it'll give me information. Oops, excuse me, sorry. What is it and what's the benefit? So, we've started to incorporate this throughout the website, hoping that folks would then click on those little question marks. Anytime you see a question mark, just click on it. It'll give you some information on what section you're in, what the data is that you're looking at. It'll give you what is it, how to use it, benefit of it. So this is a fantastic addition. It's, as I mentioned, I'm going to get into help section later, but we have incorporated some self-guided ways to use Insight so that you don't have to pick up the phone or you don't have to send an email. You can kind of self-serve within Insight. So I'll close that up. And then if I want to click on Asset ID to see asset details, so this is giving me some information here as well. So I am going to do that because I want to drill down even further into the idle details. These are all the assets that were included and the report date, but hey, I want to take a look at this guy because that's off the charts. And then what it'll do is it'll give me, hasn't moved around in the last 3 months, so I haven't, I don't have any segments, meaning how many trips or where did it go in that time frame. But if I go back, I'm pretty sure I can get some information. I kind of wanted to show you what it would look like. Let me just take one of these and hopefully I can hit the drag button. Of course not. So what we would be looking at here would be information on any movement that has occurred over that amount of time, and then it would show that on the map here. So the map is just a regular old Google map. It's interactive. You can zoom in, you can use street view, you can put it on satellite, street labels, all that good stuff. So we've gone from idle of the idle trend by week in this idle tab here. So let's go back. we started here, right, with a graph and some dots and some information. And it's good information, so I shouldn't really trivialize it that way. But then we manage our way all the way over to our biggest offenders, right? Why are these assets not moving around? Why are their idle times so high? So you're able to kind of get that broad overview and funnel down into a detail on an asset and see exactly where it is. And if it has moved at all, it'll show you where it's been, and then where it's resting right now. Why isn't it moving? What's going on with it? So it starts out wide, we cast the net wide, and then we funnel it down into data that's then actionable, right? This is all actionable data, but then it becomes pick up the phone actionable. Why is this asset, sitting here? So this is a nice dashboard. Plenty of folks that I work with as a customer success manager strictly concern themselves with idle assets. Why aren't they moving? So they like to take a look at that, and that's the biggest part of their job is getting things moving around. So a lot of folks are utilizing this part of the Insight application. Just these top panels right here took a little bit of time to talk about, but I really wanted to make sure that everyone understands where you can go to get idle information for your fleet. And there's still some more, so we're moving downward, and this looks like an angry heat map down here, like a heat graph, but what it is idle performance of custom landmarks by state or by landmark groups. So landmark groups, I'm just not going to go down a path here, but I'll just describe. Landmark groups are landmarks that say you have terminals in Pennsylvania, Ohio, New York, and New Jersey, and you want to make sure that you can view the group by state. So you have 100 in Pennsylvania, your landmark groups would be called Pennsylvania terminals, and the New Jersey terminals and New York terminals. So there are different reasons that you would do that. Here's one of them. You're able to determine which landmark groups are performing the best, because there would be some green, as you see down here. There's some green meaning good. But the goal is 2 days, right? So that's the threshold. As I said, the demo account, we're not really moving everything around super well, but idle performance of custom landmarks by state or by landmark groups, which I don't really have in here, but I'll just leave it on state. And then similarly, I like this down here because it gives us some more color. It's a similar data set. Idle performance by generic landmark. So that's landmarks that are already, acknowledged as landmarks in the trucking industry, right? So let's look at these here. We have Citgo, Mobile Gas and Car Wash, and as BP, Elk Grove, and different places in different states, right? So we're looking at top performers and worst performers, and meaning my assets are sitting there or my assets are not. These are the ones we have in this account. So when I see green, I'm good. We're moving stuff out of there, and when I see red, of course, we're not. So if I hover, there's a little bit of information. The landmark is Elwood. Percent of assets with average idle time above the threshold is 100%. So all 3 assets that are there have been there for greater than 2 days. So I can click on these, and I will do that. Let me just give this a click here. And as you notice, we moved on to idle distribution. So again, we're funneling the large net that we've set, and we're funneling it down to get to the nitty gritty. Who's the worst performer? We can get to that list, right? Just the same exact way we did with the others. Click details here, same type of graph here, but it's just for a different purpose. It's the landmark, average idle time for a week, landmark, and it'll give you the name. And then over here, we have idle distribution by assets, idle time in days at the bottom, number of assets is 1, and then let's hit details, and we're narrowing it down again. So we're funneling until we get to that offender, and we can then make that list. So same exact premise as the original example. And let's move down right here. My maps. Okay, so we have an idle scorecard. Okay, so this is a little bit more It'd be a little bit more robust in your accounts than it is here. So I'll just kind of explain what we're looking at here. It displays the health of landmarks by state, right? Or landmark groups, but we're going to default to state right here. So we're looking at this section. The chart displays the percent of landmarks with average idle time above and below 5 days, right? So that's down here. The trend line displays allowed, the trend line displayed allows users to evaluate the health of a landmark quickly. So when you're looking at the trend, you have an upward or you have a downward trend, and the assets are shown at less than 5 days and more than 5 days, you can compare the current period to the last period, right? So that's what we're looking at, last in this, to evaluate changes. And again, when you're looking at your account, you're going to see actual changes because your assets are moving around or they're sitting, based on, utilization of your assets. And that's kind of here, where you're looking at here when you're seeing idle, are you utilizing them? And the trend line lets you quickly see changes in the assets average idle time over a time frame. So that's what we're looking at here with these little trend lines. Last period, this period. So you'll see an ebb and flow right in here. So anything here is exportable, and it will export as this graph right here. These graphs, it's really, some numbers in these little graphs right in this section. All right, so this is the overview, and it's a long, the idle section's long. So you're scrolling over here and you're scrolling here. But I think it's fantastic for people to get in here, play around with it. This is one of those sections, you're not going to break a thing. Click on everything. Whenever you see your mouse turn into that little cursor that you can click on it. You'll have hovered information over most of the sections. It gives you a lot of data. And then over here, really, it's just like a little gauge that will show you how you're doing with a gauge. Your average idle time in days. Obviously ours is pinned to the top, but you want to look for your goals too, and where do you fall against that goal? Very simple right here up in this upper left corner. A lot of information, but really good consumable data that people are interested in, right? So this isn't just, oh, I don't care about idle. I've never had a conversation with a customer in trailer tracking ever say, I don't care about idle. I've never heard that. So come in here, give it a look, and it probably will help in the long run, I'm assuming. And if you don't have landmarks, you're going to want to put some landmarks in so then you can get some landmark data. Here's another section where if I just import landmarks, meaning my customers, my terminals, my vendors, any place that my trailers, my assets will go frequently enough that I want to label it and know that it's there, then you can start looking at asset trending idle data in this section right here. So it's a fantastic section. I highly recommend coming in here and looking at this. So we do have 2 other tabs that I wanted to discuss in this trend section. I'm going to have to go to my PowerPoint, but first I'm going to let you know where we're going and then what you'll be utilizing here. So in mileage, let's go to the mileage tab. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to really do much here with this, but in mileage, I'm going to go over a slide. You have to have mileage activated on your account. So again, that is something that you have to talk to customer care about, give them a call and let them know. Please remember when we're talking about solar devices that we're talking about as the crow flies mileage. This is not mapped mileage when we're talking about that. So this is, GPS mileage is not the same as a hubbo, is not the same as an odometer, is not the same. No, they're not matching. So, that's what I wanted to make sure I got out there. Make sure also that you have mileage turned on in your account. If you don't know if you do or not, there's no harm in calling. If you have a success manager, please call. If you need to call customer care, please do so and just ask and they'll let you know. They just turn it right on for you from that moment it would start. So let me go to my slides here. And we have some mileage data. So I'll zero in on this a little bit better. Move over. This is that data from an account. So I wanted to make sure I anonymized it, but it looked really good at least what I thought, to give us some information on what we were going to be looking at in this section. So we are in the mileage tab here. And like I said, this is a live active account, assets rolling around. We have a very high number of assets in this account, and we're calculating mileage. The date range is shown up here, and then it'll tell you right here what you've selected if you change this. So we're looking at average mileage and accrued mileage on our little dial here. So it's similar, right? We try to make everything look the same across the board. The accrued assets, so the number of assets that we're talking about in this date range, the mileage average is 354, and accrued is 335,177. And then we also look at hours. So duration is average is 7, and accrued is a little over 7,000. So that's what this is showing here. Average mileage, accrued mileage, and here's the actual data down below. And then this mileage distribution, right? So all these little points are representing those assets. Average mileage being 354, and average duration is 7 hours. So I'm sorry, miles. Yeah, we're looking at miles on this side, and I'm sorry, duration average is 7. So we're looking at different data points here, but you can click on them and hover over them and get information. And then over here are the actual details, right? So we're showing you the distribution, top 20%. You can change these. This is you can pull these down and change the numbers and change the filter. And over here, you can actually export the data, all of it, into an Excel spreadsheet right here. I think it comes out as a CSV file. You can turn it into Excel if you need to. And then really you can start trending, right? If you want to pull these out and give the data to somebody else, someone who needs to look at the mileage details or duration, hours. This is a fantastic report. We utilize it as success managers with our customers actively to show them. And it comes right from here in this, this mileage section. There's no special area we go to get this data. It's right here. So again, if you need to call in and ask for mileage to be started on your account, then please do so. And you can start utilizing this section of the trends, all reports area in Insight. And then let me move down here a little bit. And there's one more item I wanted to discuss. And I'll show you it on. Now, trailer pools they have to be set up. They're right here. So trailer pool section, the data is right here, this tab. But you're not going to get any data unless trailer pools mean something to you, right? So in my mind, when I'm talking to someone about trailer pools, I'm saying, do you give trailers to customers and expect that they're using them and they have a min and a max. So they have a minimum amount of trailers that they have, and then they have a maximum amount of trailers that they're allowed. Where does the pool sit and that kind of information. So trailer pools have to be set up, and that is in the manage settings area, and they also have to be added to your account. So trailer pools not default to your account, but what you would just do is ask for trailer pool setup, and then you can start utilizing it. I did, I believe, the end of my the last sessions of trainings, and I'll go over that in a minute, but show how to set up a trailer pool because there's a little bit of setup involved because you have to allocate assets and you have to, I'll just go in here real quick just so everyone can see what this looks like. But you utilize landmarks here, another section where utilization of landmarks is necessary. So if you don't have them set up, then you can't use the functionality. But trailer pools, I believe, are underutilized. And if you find yourself in a situation where you are a company that uses trailer pools, then you would want to set them up, and then you can trend the data. So again, there's a video on how to set up the trailer pools, but then you would, and there's a report for it, right, that would come to you and say you're at a minimum. Here's what you have in this trailer pool. Here's the minimum. Here's the maximum that you've set up. And idle threshold days, right? So you want the customer to be using the trailers. So when we go into analyze assets and trends, back to all reports, The trailer pool information is on this tab right here. I'm going to go to slides about it so you can look at an actual trailer pool setup. There are a few panels regarding trailer pools. Health overview, status trend, health status trend. There's a heat map, and then there's a scorecard. So I will go over here. Let me take a look at this information. The scorecard looks like this. It's sortable by state. It's sortable by number of pools in that state, and that's this information here. And then what you're looking at is trending information, number of pools, number of trailers, number that are not reporting, number of pools above max. So the customer has more trailers than they're supposed to. Below minimum, they have less. And healthy pools is they're right at their target. They have what they need and they're moving items or moving the assets around. That's this data here. It's all exportable into PDF as is. And the heat map, which I always love. I'm a big fan of the heat map because it's giving me red, green, yellow, orange, and whatever I click on. What I did here was I looked at Arkansas, and it shows me the trailer pool health within the map. So above max is 3, and then these are clickable, and it'll tell you which ones. Below and at healthy range. So it gives you all the information you would need for that state. And these are all, again, like I said, you can click on these heat maps. And the trailer pool dashboard. So what we're looking at here is the trailer pool, the name of the trailer pool, what state they're in, country, and then minimum number of trailers assigned to maximum trailers, and the number of trailers that they actually have. And the health status, this kind of drives those other graphs, right? Below minimum, they're healthy, they're at 3, so they're in between these two numbers. We have above max, below min, you know, we have all these labels of the health status of the pool over here. And you can filter by different items right here. And then the dashboard, my favorite, I always love a nice little simple dashboard. This is my overall, looking at my trailer pools overall, the percent that are above max, below, and at healthy status. And same here with trending over time. Some of them will ebb and flow. You really want to take a look at the ones that are in purple and red, and the green one's a good, healthy trailer pool. All right, so that is information on trailer pools, and that's where I'm going to stop on these tabs. And then in Analyze Assets Trends, my dashboard is where you're going to be able to create your own panels. Sorry about that. My dashboard. Okay, so right here was my trailer pool dashboard, and I'll show you how to create them. I have named the tab trailer pool, and it's going to calculate any trailer pool data that you have in your account. Now, if I want to set up a new set of panels, I would click on a plus and it would bring up that new tab. And here are my choices. Right, so I have the trailer pool choices and I can add those, and I can also add mileage, performance, summary, and distribution, and the analysis grid. Sorry, in trouble with that word today. And that's what I had showed you here on this screen, this right here. So you're able to set these dashboards up for yourself. You can have them all together. So I would add them, add, say I want to mix trailer pools and some mileage, and then close it up. And it'll only add those panels that I've requested. And then what I'm able to do here is I can add more panels, basically editing what I have in here. I can change the layout. I can move things if I want to, move the panels around. And I can also name the tab. So Sarah's data. Or I can completely remove the tab. So sometimes people, I think, will create a whole bunch of tabs and not realize it and then have to remove a bunch of them. So you can just remove them. It's going to ask you, are you sure? Yes, I want to remove it. And then it'll go away. So that's how to set up your own personal dashboards. But the idle data will remain in the all reports section, which I think, frankly, is the most important information here. The idle summary information is in Analyze Assets, Trends, All Reports. All right. All right, so that is content. I'm going to go over a couple things and I'll open up for questions. I don't see any typed in the chat, which means I must have done a super job explaining everything. Or in the questions panel, I don't see any questions right now. But what I wanted to do quickly, and I know we're getting towards, quarter of lunchtime here on the East Coast. I wanted to make sure everyone was aware of the Locate Assets Asset View section. So, and this is where I'm going to also talk about the Help section and Show Me How. So we have a few built-in ways for self-service within Insight, and I had mentioned that before, but here I really kind of want to hit on it because we have a bunch of examples on one page, right? And this is my favorite section of Insight. The asset view is a lot of different sections kind of scrunched into one, and it's one of our most recent sections on the user interface, where it gives us a bunch of opportunity to filter to what we need to see based on what we have in the account. So if you don't have all of these, again, demo account, we're testing things, we're doing different things in this account, but if you don't have all of these different product types, or you don't have all of these are all of the different types of units that we manufacture. So I'm able to drill down into product type. I'm able to drill into asset type. If you utilize that, when you activate an asset, when you install it, you can give it an asset type, right? Is it a chassis? Is it a reefer? Is it a tanker? What is it? You can label it there. That just gives you another level of filtering that you're able to utilize. If you think about it, I think in the past, maybe people weren't, but here is a great example of how we can, really zero in and see what we need. Installed, uninstalled. So everybody sees that on the dashboard, but it's also here in the asset view. I only want to look at installed, and I only want to look at ones in a group. This is that asset. This is the asset group versus landmark group. But if I lease to or from some companies, do I lease them? Do I not? Do I lease from companies? Then I can say, yeah, I want to just look at the ones that I lease, or I don't want to look at anything that I lease. Health issues isn't fully built out yet, but there's a vision for that to help with looking at units that aren't reporting. Assets at landmarks, here we go. This is another reason to put your landmarks into your account. Yes, I want ones that are at landmarks. So I can really filter down here. If I don't know how to use a section and I see Show Me How, I can click on it, and then it'll tell me, welcome to this section of Insight. It's going to step-by-step show me how to utilize a functionality, right? So here it's telling me to filter and then hit submit. Okay, I'll do that. And I've done that already. And then once I've done that, it'll then pick up where it left off and tell me to the next thing that I'm supposed to do. So here you will see all your results on the map. So fantastic. This is my map. I can refine my filter criteria here, so I can do different things. Next, click on asset list. So, ad infinitum, but it just keeps going until it's done. I'm not going to dive into this because we do have a recording on this section, but wanted to make sure everyone's aware of what Show Me How is. And then back here, there were a bunch of little question marks on that screen, but right here, click the filter icon to refine the filter criteria. Here's a question mark again. What does that mean? If I hover over it, it's going to give me details. So I encourage everyone to now start utilizing this functionality. They're all over the place. And then there are two other sections I want to hit real quick before I open up to questions, if there are any. Help section, always been, very helpful to me in that I can go here and look for the newest information from Skybits to the customer, and I can, direct people to the help section if I'm not available. But we have a 3G technology refresh guide in here, current and previous release information on Insight. Training Tuesdays videos are right here. So see, I did trailer pulls back in October 20th of 2020. And then going forward, backward, you'll see all the others that were recorded. And some training and webinar videos that we vetted and make sure that they, make sense for our customers. There are fantastic videos in here on how to set up different items within Insight. And then we do have a resource center, which I like to mention because all of those webinar and training videos are here. Not the Training Tuesdays, they only reside in the help section, but information on your asset types. Your product types are here. So if you have our newest device called the Connect, the SHB1000, and you need installation information, it's right here, plate and nose, sheet and post, or a flatbed. We also have our mobile app instructions right here. Mobile app is super important. It allows you to make associations out in the field. So there's a ton of resource right here. Just wanted to make sure everyone's aware of it. And I believe that would be it for me on content, but one more time, I'm gonna advertise Skybits YouTube channel. Just look for our Skybits logo. Just type in Skybits on the YouTube channel. Hopefully someone will subscribe today. If you haven't, we'll bump that number up one. And I would like to open up for questions. We have about 10 minutes left. Are there any questions?
Thank you, Sarah. I am looking right now. There are no questions that have been submitted via the questions tab or anyone raising their hand at this time. So I will open it up to the audience. If you have any questions, feel free to tap the I have a question or a question mark, raise your hand, or you can simply type your question in the chat field and we will get that answered for you.
Yeah, I don't see any, so I guess we can, no harm in wrapping it up early, right? Give everybody 10 minutes back. And before I do, I want to thank, first of all, my colleagues for joining and making sure that if there were any questions that they were handled timely and accurately. I really want to thank folks for joining these sessions. They're about you, as I mentioned in the beginning, our partners, and helping you leverage the powerful tools that we've provided via Insight and via our teams. If you do have recommendations, because we do plan on going forward with the Training Tuesdays on a bi-weekly schedule for now, if you have recommendations or ideas, please reach out to customer care, reach out to Ira. I believe everyone has his email. Future session content, let us know. We'll be happy to review and put something together. The next session will be in 2 weeks on March 30th at 11 a.m. Eastern time. And I would like to thank everyone for joining us and making Training Tuesday successful. Have a great day.